Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam review class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharonmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam review class. We are discussing from the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So yesterday we discussed that Shukdev Goswami describes about the degraded dynasties of Kali Yuga. So after Krishna departed and all the Yadus also departed in the Maushala Leela, then Shukdev Goswami describes who will come to rule this earth in future and how so many of the dynasties they'll be so very degraded. And then he described that Mother Earth, when she sees all these kings trying to rule over her, she laughs. And she's remembering how great kings they have come, tried to conquer, and they have gone now. They are all just the names. So Shukdev Goswami is trying to make Parikshit completely detached from the position of being a king so that he can focus on Supreme Lord completely. And then Shukdev Goswami also describes the uh, condition of people in Kali Yuga, how degraded they will be. And then he ends the discussion in the third chapter by describing that although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but there is a one great benediction. Kaler dosh nidhe rajan asti hi eko mahan gunan kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajit. Although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but there is one good quality. Just by chanting the names of the Lord, one can attain perfection. So now in the fourth chapter, which is entitled as the four categories of universal annihilation, because this 12th canto is called Nirodha. Nirod means the destruction of this universe. So this chapter specifically deals with that topic of Bhagavatam. So Shukdev Goswami continues that I have already described the various measurements of the times, the various yuga cycles, and now please hear about the time of Brahma's day and the process of annihilation. So he says, Shukdev Goswami says that in one day of Brahma, which is called one kalpa, 1,000 yuga cycles pass by. And the same is the duration of Brahma's night also. So in Brahma's night, what happens? All the three worlds, Bhu, Bhuvar, Swa, all the three worlds, they get annihilated. So during the annihilation, what happens? So Lord Narayan, who is lying down in the Garbhodak ocean as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, lying down on the bed of Ananta Shesha. So he absorbs the entire universe in himself. So as Brahma is sleeping, all the living entities, they go into the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu up to the planet of Swarga. Above that, Maharaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, they are still remaining. So all these living entities who are staying in these Bhu-lok, Swargalok, Bhuvarlok and Swargalok, they get absorbed in the body of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So there are 4 types of annihilation which are described in this chapter. Prakritik Pralay, Naimittika Pralay, Atyantika Pralay and Nitya Pralay. So first, Shukdeva Goswami starts the description of Naimittika Pralay or Prakritik Pralay, sorry. From the 5th verse, he describes the Prakritik Pralay. So what is Prakritik Pralay or elemental annihilation? So at the end of Brahma's lifetime, what happens? At the end of Brahma's lifetime, the 7 basic elements of creation, which are Mahatattva, the 5 Tanmatras, 5 sense objects, and Ahankar, they get annihilated completely. And then this universal egg, this Brahmand, which is consisting of the elements of creation, is completely destroyed at the end of Brahma's lifetime. So this is called Prakritik Pralay because all the elements of Prakriti, they enter into Prakriti again. So that's why it is called as Prakritik Pralay. So then in this Prakritik Pralay, what happens? So he describes the process of Prakritik Pralay. So this description is itself very, very scary because what all is going to happen if we don't take it seriously, if we don't take the process of Krishna consciousness seriously, then living entities may have to see all that. We all may have to see this type of annihilation also. So towards the annihilation, what happens? There will be rains. After the death of Brahma, it starts raining. There will be no rains. Sorry, first there will be no rains for 100 years. So now because there is no rains, nothing is growing. So all the living entities, they start consuming each other and they ultimately get destroyed. The sun starts increasing its heat and drinks up the waters of all the oceans, but does not give back in the form of rains. So all the water of the oceans get dried up. Then Sankarshan, who is there in the Garbhodaksh ocean, he starts emitting the fire of devastation. Fire of annihilation starts coming from the mouth of Sankarshan. And with this fire, the entire universe starts burning. So entire cosmic shell, entire Brahmand starts burning. And it starts burning from all the sides and it becomes like a ball of cow dung which is burning. Glowing ball of cow dung. That is what happens. And then after this, the winds of destruction, they start. Terrible winds. And these winds, they blow for 100 years more. So when all these winds, they are blowing, what happens? Ultimately, after these winds, they blow, then the clouds start forming. The clouds of devastation starts pouring down torrents of rains for 100 years. And then the entire universe becomes filled with waters of annihilation. So the ocean level rises, the Garbhodak ocean, and fills the entire universe. Then this water, because it is completely consuming the entire universe, it robs the earth of the quality of fragrance. Then consequently, all the subtle elements gets dissolved into a gross elements, and slowly the entire elements get dissolved until only sound remains. And sound also gets absorbed in the false ego. And we have discussed this many times, what happens. Then ultimately, everything falls in the mode of passion, absorbs all the senses, falls in the mode of goodness, absorbs mind and the devatas, and ultimately everything merges into Mahatattva. The qualities of Mahatattva are also mentioned by Shukdev Goswami. He says, in that Mahatattva, which ultimately gets transformed into Pradhana, it has no qualities, no expressions, no life air, no senses, no devatas, no planetary systems remain. It is just the unmanifest state of material nature. You know. So this is Prakritik Pralay. And what is Atyantika Pralay? So before describing Atyantika Pralay, Shukdev Goswami describes the knowledge which is required to attain this Atyantika Pralay. So what is this Atyantik Pralay actually? In simple terms, Atyantik Pralay means dissolution of our false ego and getting liberated from this material universe and going to the spiritual world. That is Atyantika Pralay. So Shukdev Goswami describes that actually absolute truth, and one more is the Naimittika Pralay, which happens at the end of the day of Brahma. So in this Atyantika Pralay, the absolute truth. So first Shukdev Goswami describes the knowledge which is required to get freed from this false ego. So he says that absolute truth, which is the basis of our intelligence, the senses, the life airs, everything begins with the supreme absolute truth. Aham eva sameva gre. As Bhagavatam describes again and again, that all the elements of material creation, Supreme Lord is the cause and the effect. So Shukdev Goswami says, just like the eyes, he gives an example. The eyes, objects of vision, and the lamp. All these three things, they are actually non-different from fire, because that is what gives the power of vision. Ultimately, everything is coming from the subtle object, and Devata, sense Devata, is giving the power to see. Similarly, the intelligence, the senses, the sense perceptions, they are coming from the supreme absolute truth. Whatever experiences we have in this world, it is just the three states of intelligence: Jagrata, Swapna, and Susupti. Stage of awakening, when we are awake, when we go to sleep. Before going to the deep sleep, we have dreams. That is called stage of Swapna. And there is a stage of Sushupti. Sushupti means deep sleep when you don't see any dreams. So these are the three states of existence of living entities. Just like the threads of a cloth make the cloth, and the entire cloth rests on the threads. Similarly, the ingredients of creation, they make the entire creation. And although, Shukdev Goswami says that the transformation, although we see that transformation of this, all these elements, they are without reference to the Supreme Soul. Generally, people, they can't understand the relationship between the elements, the material nature, and the Supreme Soul. But actually, that is the fact. The supreme absolute truth is the ultimate reality. In that supreme absolute truth, there is no distinction. Just like the sky, inside and outside the pot, the sky is the same. Just like the sun and the reflection in the water, just like the vital air in the body and the outside of the body in this universe. There is no duality. Similarly, there is no material duality in absolute truth. Just like the gold is perceived in different forms, the Supreme Lord is perceived by different people who are in different modes. So that's how he explains ultimately you know, the foundation by which one can become completely detached from this material world. You know, all this look may technical, you know, somebody may be thinking, oh, what is the use of all this explanation? The purpose of all this is to make one detached from the material creation. That is the philosophy of Sankhya. When we see things as they are, that means in the elemental state, then we don't get attracted. If somebody sees gulab jamun or rasgulla or rasmalai or sweet rice, naturally one will get attracted. But if somebody sees milk, wheat flour, sugar, oil, he doesn't get attracted so much. Similarly, when we see the material world in terms of the ingredients, a beautiful form, if you see the ingredients, so this body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, then we will not get attracted to this body. The forms attracts the world. So when we, you know, we break the forms into the basic ingredients, then we don't get attracted. And that state we can attain ultimate freedom from the false ego. That is called Atyantika Pralay. Atyantika Pralay means ultimate annihilation of material existence. Apart from this, there is a Nitya Pralay which also goes on. Nitya Pralay means every day there is a continuous process of creation and annihilation. In our body, something is getting created and something is getting destroyed. Our body, the changes of our body are imperceptible. That's what Shukdev Goswami says. The Nitya Pralay, it happens so slowly that we don't even realize that it is happening. When we are seeing our family members, we don't realize that they have grown up or they have grown old. But the time factor makes one imperceptibly old. समय सबको चुपचाप बूढ़ा बना देता है, you know. So that is what is time factor. And that is called Nitya Pralay. So these stages are not seen by, not observed by people generally. So Shukdev Goswami says that, so in this way, the progress of time is observed in 4 kinds of annihilation. And after this, Shukdev Goswami says, now I have described you the pastimes of Lord Narayan, and even Brahma, he is not capable of describing the pastimes of Lord Narayan completely. And now he describes the glories of hearing Bhagavatam and the parampara of Srimad Bhagavatam. Samsara sindhumati dustaramuti tirshor nanya plavo bhagavata purushottamasya lila katha rasanishe vanamantarena pumso bhaved vividha dukkha davarditasya. So he says, anybody who desires to cross this insurmountable ocean of material existence, samsara sindhu, although it is ati dustara means not just insurmountable, very, very difficult, almost impossible to pass. Nanya plavo bhagavata purushottamasya, but there is a wonderfully made boat in which we can cross this ocean of material existence. That is what? Leela katha rasa nishevanamantarena. A devotee who is absorbed in the hearing of the pastimes of Lord, Supreme Lord, Leela Katha Ras. One who has tasted the rasa of Leela Katha of Lord, Pumso Bhaved Vividha Dukkha Davarditasya. He can come out of this countless miseries which he is experiencing in this material world. That is the only way one can come out of this ocean of material existence. Nivritta tarshay rupagiyamana bhavaushada shrotra manobhirama कह उत्तम श्लोक गुणानुवादा पुमान virajyet vina pashugnat. So it is described by Shukdev Goswami in the beginning of the 10th canto. Nivritta tarashai rupagi, actually Parikshit Maharaj says this. A person, Nivritta tarashai upagiya mana, who has become free from the sense gratification of this world, and he wants to cross this ocean of material existence, there is only one medicine. Bhavaushadhat shrotra manobhirama. We are inflicted with disease of this material existence. Only by Krishna Katha one can come out of this, one can get cured. So therefore, Chakravarti Thakur writes that, so this is the answer. Shukdev Parikshit Maharaj asked the question in the beginning of the first canto, right there in the beginning, in the end of the first canto. What should a dying person do? That was the question, first question which was asked by Parikshit Maharaj. Now we have come to the end of the journey of Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days. So Shukdev Goswami says, you have asked that question, what should a person do? This is the answer. There is no other means to cross the ocean of material existence, not even by cultivation of Gyan. Only way is by practice of devotional service. So he says you should not accept Gyan because, Gyan, although at so many places it is described that Gyan gives liberation, but actually if the Gyan is not mixed with devotion, Gyan also will not give liberation. Only bhakti can give ultimate destination. Rasa, Leela, Katha, Rasa. Rasa means the sweetness which is produced by the topics of Krishna that are described in the 10th canto. The whole 10th canto is full of Leela, Katha, Ras, the beautiful nectarian pastimes of Krishna. So Shukdev Goswami says, long ago, this Puran, it was spoken by Lord Nar Narayan to Narad Muni. Narad Muni spoke this to Vyasdev. Vyasdev, my father, he spoke this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to me. And then Vyasdev, then he says that actually now in the assembly, this Suta Goswami is sitting. He will speak this same Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya in future. So Shukdev Goswami is making this prediction right there. So this is the end of the fourth chapter. Then the fifth chapter is entitled as Shukdev Goswami's final instructions to Parikshit Maharaj. So now in this fifth chapter, Parikshit Maharaj, he starts speaking about the glories of Gyan. So far throughout Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami has established bhakti to be supreme. After giving all the complete description of how bhakti is a supreme, now in this chapter, the final instructions of Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit, Shukdev Goswami is describing the process of impersonal Gyan. Why he is doing it? For two reasons. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes an elaborate purport on this. So he says that actually after completing the whole Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami, he thought to himself. He considered the matter within himself, started thinking. He said, it is improper that what I have done, I have disclosed from my heart the greatest jewel of bhakti. What is this bhakti? Bhakti is Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam. It is the most confidential knowledge. It is the king of all the knowledge. It is the most confidential secret of all the secrets. So what I have done is, I have shown that this bhakti can award all the results. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kam udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. If you have no desires, or you are full of desires, or you want liberation, whatever your desire may be, just come to Krishna. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So Shukdev Goswami is thinking, I have shown that bhakti is the all potent, independent, the most powerful means of attaining perfection. And even varnashram is not required. By the practice of varnashram, I have established that the purpose of varnashram is to serve Krishna. Otherwise, this is all shrama eva hi kevalam. I have established that karma destroys karma, which can take one to swarga. It is also rejected by devotees, because ultimately shine punya marti lokam vishanti. After the pious credits are destroyed, again one has to come back. And I have established that Gyan, the famous Gyan, which even bestows liberation, that is also rejected. Naishkarmyam apyachyut bhava varjitam na shobhate gyalamanam niranjanam kutah punasashvadadabhramishware na charpitam karma yadapya karanam. Right there in the first canto, Narad Muni is himself telling to Vyasadeva in the 5th chapter that if somebody is practicing Gyan but he is not rendering service to the Lord, it is useless. It will not give the result. Even a person who is a Jnani and a sannyasi, he is also rejected. Even if he attains the highest perfection of impersonal liberation, still he will fall down. Yanye arvindaksha vimuktamanina toyasta bhava avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichrena param padam tata patanti adha. People who think themselves as liberated and they are actually liberated, they may attain the perfection of Brahman realization, but still aruhya krichrena param padam, even if they attain the highest perfection, patanti adha, they fall down because they don't take shelter of Krishna. So this is the thought process of Shukdev Goswami which is going on. So he's thinking that, okay, bhakti is the most confidential secret, and I have openly told this to everybody that bhakti is a supreme, even better than karma, better than jnana, and even one cannot attain liberation without adding bhakti. Bhakti nahi hai to he will not get the result. Yat karma bhir yat tapasa jnana vairagyayashchayat yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhiritarayrapi sarvam mad bhakti yogena mad bhakto labhate anjasa swarga apavarga madhyama kathanchid yadi vanchati. So Krishna has told Uddhava, the process of bhakti is so very potent, so very powerful. Whatever you want, even if you want liberation, you can get it by the process of bhakti. So what is the use of any other means? What is the use of yoga? What is the use of Sankhya, Sannyas, study of the Vedas, doing charity, doing all this tapasya? The practice of bhakti is recommended for everybody. So Shukdev Goswami is thinking, I have established the supremacy of bhakti such strongly. By the process of bhakti, even lowest of the people can get liberated. Even if somebody is born in the family of dog eaters, aho bat shapacho ato garyan yajjihvagre vartate namatubhyam. If somebody is born in a family of a dog eaters, if he takes to the shelter of bhakti, he attains the highest destination. So he is thinking, I have established the supremacy of bhakti so strongly. But actually, Krishna does not like all these things to be told publicly. And he quotes a verse from the 11th canto where Shukdev Goswami, where Krishna is himself saying that actually I like if somebody tells all these things indirectly. So Shukdev Goswami is thinking so that this verse comes in the 10th canto. So Shukdev Goswami is thinking, since I have revealed this most confidential secret of all the secrets, so it seems that I have become not so dear to the Lord. So what will I do now? What shall I do now? So it says that now I have finished the writing of Bhagavatam. I have spoken the whole Bhagavatam. Okay, let that be. So now what I'll do, I will try to hide the secret which I have already shown to the world. Just like a person who has a very valuable jewel and carelessly, impetuously, if he shows that jewel to the world, but then he hides it in a box and shows another jewel and tells that, oh, this is the supreme. He starts praising that jewel as a supreme. So I will teach now Gyan to Parikshit. I will teach the process of impersonal knowledge to Parikshit. So that people will think, oh, Shukdev is teaching Parikshit the knowledge of Gyan. I will glorify this Gyan in the end. And he's thinking, I don't worry that Parikshit will get confused. No, Parikshit will not get confused, because he is such a great devotee of the Lord. And in future, of course, Suta, who is sitting there, he will write, first canto, it is described, Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit. Mahabhagavat Parikshit. Parikshit was a great devotee of the Lord. He attained perfection by the process of bhakti. So I'm not concerned about the Parikshit's destination, but just like sometime Lord also tests his devotees, I will also test the determination of Parikshit. And of course he will pass. So all these things Shukdev Goswami is thinking. So Chakravarti Thakur, he writes one more thing. He says that if Shukdev Goswami has already completed Bhagavatam, then why do we consider the first canto and the 12th canto as a part of Bhagavatam after Shukdev Goswami stops narrating? First canto, Shukdev Goswami is not there. It is just a prelude to the entire Bhagavatam. And after this chapter, Shukdev Goswami is not there. So then why, if Shukdev Goswami completed this Puran, then why first canto and 12th canto, they are parts of Bhagavatam? So Chakravarti Thakur gives an example. Just like in a sacrifice, the preliminary and the concluding portions of sacrifice, because they help the sacrifice to get complete, they are also considered the part of the sacrifice. Just like in a drama, the introduction to the drama and the blessings which are given at the end of the drama, they make the drama complete. Similarly, although these two cantos, the first canto and the 12th canto remaining portion, they are not directly spoken by Shukdev Goswami, but they are the beginning and the concluding parts of Bhagavatam. And he gives one more example. He says, just consider the statement of Gita Mahatmya. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanye Shastra Vistarai Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukhapadmad Vinisritah. So it is described that one should recite Gita. What is the necessity of other scriptures? So in Gita also, not all the verses are spoken by Krishna. Only around 555 verses are spoken by Krishna. Some verses are spoken by Sanjay, Arjun, and even Dhritarashtra. Why they are considered to be the part of Bhagavad Gita? Because these verses, they help the conversation of Bhagavad Gita. They make a foundation for Bhagavad Gita to be spoken. That's why they are also called as Bhagavad Gita. So although first canto and 12th canto, they are not spoken by Shukdev Goswami directly, still they are part of Bhagavatam. That's the conclusion. So now Shukdev Goswami starts description of the Atma, the Gyan, the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. He starts speaking. He says that to think that one is going to die ultimately, actually, he is in a bodily conception because soul is eternal. Soul does not die. The body dies. The body undergoes changes. The soul does not die. Interestingly, Chakravarti Thakur writes that even before hearing the Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj was a great pure Mahabhagavat. He was already a liberated soul because right there in the first canto, even before Shukdev Goswami came, he prayed to all the sages. Tamopayatam pratiyanto vipra ganga cha devi dhritachittam Dvijopasrishtam kuhakastakshakova dashattulam gayata Vishnu gatha. Let that snake bird takshaka or whatever magical bird which is created by that son of the sage come and bite. I don't care. O great sages, please keep speaking about the glories of Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj was already a liberated soul. So Shukdev Goswami is speaking very strongly, not for Parikshit Maharaj, but through Parikshit Maharaj, he wants to tell this knowledge to all of us. Just like Arjuna, Lord Krishna, he spoke strongly to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna was already a great devotee, but for the welfare of entire people, he spoke Bhagavad Gita. So Shukdev Goswami says, just like sprouts, they take birth from a seed and generate into new seeds. Similarly, you should understand that you are not like that seed. The soul does not take birth. Soul is eternal. You are distinct from the material body. Just like a fire is distinct from the fuel, the soul is distinct from the material body. And actually, soul is the observer of this material body. The changes which one goes through, when we are asleep, in the dream state, we are seeing so many things. Who is seeing those things? Actually, the soul is the observer. And we are awake. The soul is observing the changes which are happening in the body. Just like the sky does not get affected by the changes which are happening in the sky, similarly, the soul does not get affected by the changes which are happening in the body. And then he says that spirit soul actually assumes the existence, material existence, because of the mind. So this philosophy has come many times in Bhagavatam. Because we start identifying ourselves with this body, the soul suffers in this material world. Just like lamp, the function of the lamp is due to its fuel, its vessel, wick, and the fire. Similarly, material life functions due to the three material modes. So this oil is like our karma. The vessel is the mind. The lamp represents the wick represents the body. The fire represents the consciousness, and the lamp represents this samsara. So when we start identifying with the three modes of material nature, with our mind, with our intelligence, with our ego, then a living entity suffers in this world. Otherwise, the soul is self-luminous. Soul never gets contaminated. Soul is separate from the gross and subtle body. Soul is endless, unborn, eternal, always fixed. These are the qualities of the soul. Just like the sky is unchanging, the soul does not undergo any transformation. The soul does not undergo any change. And then he says, by constantly meditating on the Lord and by applying clear and logical intelligence, one can understand himself as different from this material body, as the soul. And then he gives assurance to Parikshit Maharaj. He says, Takshaka will come and he'll burn your body, he'll not burn yourself. Don't worry about it, O Parikshit, because the agents of death can never touch the soul. The soul is permanent, the soul can never be burnt. And as far as you are concerned, you have already conquered all the dangers on the path of your self realization. You are already a liberated soul. Real death means when our Krishna consciousness is covered. That is real death. And Shukdev Goswami is congratulating Parikshit Maharaj, for you, you will not suffer death because you are already liberated. You are completely Krishna conscious. You are far from the reach of death. You know, as Yamraj he described in the 6th canto, that Yamdutas, please don't go to the devotees of the Lord. And Parikshit Maharaj is Savai Mahabhagavato Parikshit. You know, Mahabhagavat, he is a supreme devotee of the Lord. So he will not get disturbed. Now Shukdev Goswami again emphasizes that how you should meditate on Brahman. He's trying to test Parikshit Maharaj. He says that you should think that I am non-different from the absolute truth, and absolute truth is non-different from me. And in this way, you will not notice death coming. You will not even notice Takshak coming and biting you, your body dying, and you will not even experience the material world around. And Chakravarti Thakur writes that actually in these two verses, Parikshit Maharaj is, Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit about the method of deliberation. But there is inner meaning to it also. The inner meaning is, you know, Shukdev Goswami is telling actually you should consider yourself as a part and parcel of Supreme Lord, the servant of the Lord. In that way you are one with the Lord. And you will not see takshaka, you will not see the biting, you will not experience the biting, because you will be so very absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, lotus feet of the Lord, that you will not even experience the bite of takshaka. After describing all that, Shukdev Goswami says, O Parikshit, now I have narrated to you all the topics which you have inquired me. What more do you wish to hear? So this is the end of the 5th chapter. 6th chapter, very, very heart-rending chapter. In this, Parikshit Maharaj passes away from this world. That is the title of this chapter. So now, Suta Goswami, he continues the discussion. He says, after hearing all the wonderful narrations from Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, who had lived his entire life under the protection of Krishna, in the womb of his mother he was protected, and now as Parikshit is leaving, he is still protected. Parikshit Maharaj was always protected by the Lord. Parikshit Maharaj, he humbly bowed down to Shukdev Goswami and he continued speaking. Siddhosmi anugrahitosmi bhavata karunatmana shravito yaccha me sakshadana nidhano harihi. He says, Siddho asmi, I have now achieved the perfection of my life. Anugrahito asmi, I am so very indebted to you. Bhavata karunatmana, great and merciful souls like you, they are there to show kindness to people like me. Shravito yachame sakshat, I have heard from your mouth the great narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who has no beginning and end. So he says, actually I have become successful because when I was in the womb of my mother, I saw the Lord. And after birth, I heard about the Lord always. And now as I am dying, I have heard about the Lord. And actually I saw the Lord also. And now I am dying and I have heard about the same Lord from your mouth. I have heard about what Lord was speaking. So that's why I am successful. Siddho asmi. And then he says that it is not amazing that great souls like you who have completely absorbed your mind on the Supreme Personality, you travel in this world to show compassion to people like me, to all the fallen conditioned souls. So Shukdev Goswami, I think, okay, what did you understand from hearing from me by hearing scriptures? So Shukdev Goswami says, I have heard from you this whole Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a summary of all the Puranas, which is the glorification, which perfectly describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka. Then he says, now I have no fear of Takshaka. भगवांस्तक्षकादिभ्यो मृत्युभ्यो न बिभेम्यहम् प्रविष्टो ब्रह्म निर्वाणम् अभयं दर्शितं त्वया. O Brahmana, O my Lord, now na bibhemi aham. I do not fear Takshaka or any other living being or even repeated death. I do not fear even repeated death also. Why? Because I have absorbed myself. Pravishto Brahma Nirvanam. I have absorbed myself in the pure spiritual topics. Abhayam Darshitam Toya. And by your mercy, O Shukdev Goswami, I have become completely fearless. This is the ultimate perfection of life, to become fearless. Everybody in this world is fearful of so many things to lose. I lose this, I lose that. But when somebody takes completely shelter of Krishna, he becomes completely fearless. Abhay charanara vindare. Bhajahure mana Srinandanandana abhay charanara vindare. That Supreme Lord can give abhaya, fearlessness. And then Chakravarti Thakur writes the inner thought process of Parikshit Maharaj. He says, why are you teaching me Gyan? I don't fear the material world. I don't fear death. I don't fear Takshaka, but I fear this impersonal knowledge which you are giving me. And he says, actually, Parikshit Maharaj became angry. And he says, this impersonal knowledge is intolerable for devotees. I cannot tolerate. Actually, I have made the vow at the point of death that I want to hear about Krishna. Punascha bhuyad bhagavati anante rati prasanga chatadashreshu mahatsuyamya mupayami srishtim maitrastu sarvatra namo dujebhyah. Right in the first canto end, Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj is telling everybody, I don't fear death. If I have to come again in this world, I want three benedictions. Bhagavati anante rati prasangat chatadashrayesu and maitryasu sarvatra. I want loving devotion to the Supreme Lord. I want prasanga chatadashrayesu. I want association of devotees, and I want to serve all the living entities. Why are you telling me about this Gyan? This impersonal Gyan, which you have taught me at the end. It is unbearable. I fear this impersonal Gyan. So this is the hint of, there is a hint of anger in his words. That's what Parikshit Maharaj, Chakravarti Thakur says. Shukdev Goswami, he asked him, okay, what more do you wish to hear? So Parikshit Maharaj says, now please give me permission to resign my speech, to stop the functions of all my senses. Now allow me to absorb my mind in the lotus feet of Krishna and allow me to give up my life. So he asked, what do you want to hear? Parikshit Maharaj is saying, I don't want to hear anything more. Without any further discussion, I want to go back to the spiritual world. Because you have revealed to me the most auspicious, most wonderful narration, the description, the personal feature of the Lord. I have now completely become fixed in that knowledge, in the knowledge of self-realization. All my ignorance is completely dispelled. So Shukdev Goswami, when he is requested by Parikshit, he gave permission to Parikshit, and being served and worshipped by the great sages and Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami departed from that place. Then Parikshit Maharaj, he sat down with a fixed mind on the bank of Ganga on a darbha grass seat, which are with their tips pointing towards the north. He was completely fixed in meditation on the Supreme Lord, and actually he had attained the perfection of yoga. He was completely absorbed in meditating on the Supreme, and in this way his life air ceased to move. He was still like a stationary tree. And actually, he had already attained perfection. He had already gone back to the spiritual world. All the life airs were still. Other place, Takshaka, he was coming as inspired by the curse of Shringi. He was coming towards this place where Parikshit was staying. He saw a sage called Kashyapa Muni on the path. And Kashyapa Muni, he was expert in curing a person who is bitten by snakes. So Takshaka, he started flattering Kashyapa. There was a discussion which happened between Kashyapa and Takshaka. So Takshaka was disguised as a Brahmana. So he asked, so where are you going? He said, oh, this Parikshit Maharaj, he's cursed to die in 7 days. And now it's the last day. Takshak is about to come. So I know the art of curing anybody from the snake bite. And I'm just collecting some herbs. Takshak said, but I don't think you can cure a person who is bitten by Takshaka. Takshaka is so very powerful. And he actually revealed, I am that Takshaka. This Brahmana, this Kashyap, he said, okay, so shall we test our powers? He said, of course. So this Takshaka, there was a tree. Takshaka bit that tree, and within moments, the entire tree was burned to ashes. He felt so very happy. Now, Kashyapa Muni started chanting mantras. By the power of mantras, within a short time from that ash, a small sprout came. And within moments, again, the entire tree was there, full-fledged, flourishing with green leaves. Takshaka, he was completely surprised. He understood that this person can counteract my curse. So he said, what do you want? He said, if I'll do this, I'll get so much of the remuneration from the king. Takshaka, he presented so very valuable offerings, gifts, and ornaments and jewelry to this sage. And the sage very happily departed. Takshaka, he again disguised himself as a Brahmana, and he came to that place where Parikshit Maharaj was completely absorbed in meditation. He had already left his body actually. Just the mortal body was remaining. Takshaka, he came and he bit the body of Parikshit Maharaj. Within moments, the body of Parikshit Maharaj burst into flames and burned to ashes. As Parikshit Maharaj was burned to ashes, it was like a son performing the last rites of the father, the burning of the body, because Parikshit Maharaj had already left for the spiritual world. There was a terrible cry started all over the directions. Everybody was lamenting, astonished, seeing the departure of Parikshit. All the Gandharvas, Apsaras, they started dancing, showering flowers, seeing just such a wonderful departure of a great devotee of the Lord. The kettle drums sounded in the sky. Gandharvas, they spoke the glories of Parikshit Maharaj. Janmejaya, the son of Parikshit, when he came to know that this Takshaka is the cause of death of my father, he became so very angry, furious. He took a vow. He told the sages, he became so very angry, he performed a Sarpa Yagya. He performed a mighty sacrifice to offer all the snakes of the world and kill them. And he was thinking, I will make this world devoid of all the snakes. And the sages started chanting mantras. And within moments, the most powerful of the snakes, they started coming and falling in the fire of this yagya. But when Takshaka, he saw that even the most powerful of the snakes, they are getting burnt in this blazing fire of the sacrifice. He took shelter. He became really desperate, anxious, fearful. He ran to Indra. Indra was a friend of Takshak and took shelter of Indra. Janmejaya, he asked, I am seeing all the big, powerful snakes, they are coming. But why this Takshak, the lowest of all the serpents, he is not coming in this fire? The sages, they told him, the Brahmanas, they replied that this Takshaka, he has taken shelter of Indra. And that's why he's not falling into fire. Indra is protecting Takshaka. So the Janmejaya, he was so very powerful and he was intelligent. Hearing these words of Brahmanas, he said, then my dear Brahmanas, why not make Takshaka fall into this fire along with Indra and all the Devatas? And Brahmana said, so be it. And they started chanting mantras. Indra, he was thrown off his, royal throne. He started thinking, now I think I am dead. He started falling down. Brihaspati, when he saw all this happening, he approached Janmejaya and he told, oh Janmejaya, please stop this snake sacrifice. This king of snakes, this Takshaka, he has already drunk the nectar. He has become immortal. He cannot be killed. And he is free from this ordinary symptoms of old age and death. So please stop this. In this world, in this material world, the life and death of an embodied soul, it is caused by all the past life activities. So therefore, actually no other personality is responsible for the death or the happiness or the suffering which a person undergoes. Actually, what Brihaspati is saying, Chakravarti Thakur writes that actually all the other living entities, they are under the control of material nature, and therefore they have to go through all these sufferings and this happiness according to their karma. As far as your father is concerned, he is a pure devotee. He is not bound by the karma. Whatever has happened in his life, it has happened by the will of the Lord. Lord has made all the arrangements. Lord protected him when he was in the womb of his mother. And Lord has arranged for this Brahmana boy to curse him. Lord arranged Sukdev Goswami to come and speak Bhagavatam. It was all arrangement of the Lord. So you don't worry about him. Don't make this person, this Takshaka, responsible for the death of your father. He says actually when a conditioned soul is killed by poison or some thieves or some rogues, he is suffering the reactions of his past deeds. But it is not so for your father. Your father is already a liberated personality. he was completely under the protection of Krishna. Janmejaya, so then after this, Brihaspati says, please stop this sacrifice. And already you have killed so many of the innocent snakes, but okay, whatever has happened, no worries. Those snakes have also suffered the, you know, previous sinful activities. You don't worry about them, but please stop further sacrifice. Janmejaya, he accepted, he bowed down his head in front of Brihaspati, and he desisted from performing this snake sacrifice. So now, Shukdev Goswami, he starts the narration. He says, so when the sages of Naimisharanya, they are hearing, they are thinking, how can a learned person like Janmejaya be bewildered? You know, how can he be bewildered by this anger and by all these modes? Shukdev Goswami, Sud Goswami says, actually, that is the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu. The Maya of the Lord is so very powerful, unstoppable, difficult to overcome. She bewilders even the most powerful living beings. What to speak of ordinary conditioned souls, you know. So, in the purport, it is described that the illusory energy of the Lord, the Maya Devi, the Shakti of the Maya Lord is so very powerful that even illustrious son of King Parikshit, he also got bewildered. But because he was such a great devotee of the Lord, very quickly he was rectified. But that does not happen for the materialistic people. The more they are bewildered by Maya, the more they enter into the darkest regions of ignorance and become more and more implicated. So the sages may think that if all the jivas are under the control of Maya, then who is exempted? Is there anybody who is exempted from this illusory potency? Sud Goswami says yes. The devotees of the Lord are, and Supreme Lord himself, they are beyond this material illusory power. Who is that Supreme Lord? Sud Goswami describes the Swarup of the Supreme Lord in the 30th verse. He says, this Supreme Lord, he cannot be conquered by illusory energy. He is beyond all the mental speculation. He can be understood only by submissively inquiring. Tadvidhi pranipatena. He cannot be understood by mental speculation, by imagination. He is not anything material of this world. And what is the process of attaining that supreme absolute truth? He says three things. By negative discrimination, by understanding that this world is not the proper place to stay, by giving up the materialistic attitude, and by surrendering unto the supreme absolute truth. By all these endeavors, one can attain the supreme personality of Godhead. The devotees who have surrendered to Krishna, they are beyond the conception of I and mine. They are not envious. They don't insult anyone. They are equal to everybody. They respect everybody. That is their nature. And then Sudha Goswami, he offers obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. And he says, simply by meditating upon the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, I have been able to study and describe this and appreciate this great literature. Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Krishnaya Kuntha Medhase Yat Padam Buru Adhyanat Samhitam Adhyagamimam. Just by meditating on the lotus feet of Lord, I have been able to appreciate this great Samhita. And the sages, they heard the word Samhita. They became inquisitive. So now Shaunak Rishi, he starts another question. He says, O Sudha Goswami, please describe, please narrate how the greatly intelligent disciples of Vyas, they divided these and edited these Samhita. So Shukadeva Goswami continues that in this material world, first the transcendental sound vibration, it was heard in the heart of Brahma. Brahma was the first person who perceived this knowledge of the Vedas in the heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave, the first verse of Bhagavatam. This knowledge was first heard in the heart of Brahma. And then, by worship of the subtle form of the Vedas, the great sages, they purify their mind. And then this subtle sound vibration, which is called Nada Brahma, which was heard in the heart of Brahma, it manifests as Omkar. Omkar is the subtle, another form of this subtle vibration. This Omkar, it is composed of three sounds, A, U and Ma, A, U and M. It has many unseen potencies and it automatically manifests in a purified heart. By this, one can understand the absolute truth in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And this Paramatma, this Omkar is heard only by Paramatma in the heart because it is non-perceptible by material ears. So very interesting purport is written there. And Chakravarti Thakur writes about it. That when a person is sleeping, all our senses are not functioning. Our ears are not functioning. Our eyes are not functioning. We say that ears are the only senses which are awake. But actually all the senses are not functioning when we are sleeping. None of the senses function. Then how do we get up? When a person is sleeping, he gets awakened by the noise. Who hears that noise? Because the senses are not functioning. Then who hears that noise? Actually, it is described that Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, is there in the heart. He hears the noise first. And then he wakes up the living entities. So Supreme Lord, because he never sleeps, he wakes up the living entities. That is the role of Supreme Lord. He wakes the living entities up. So this sound vibration, it is the Omkar. It is consisting of threefold aspects of material existence. And this includes the modes, the various planetary systems, the Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, and also the various types of consciousness, Jagrata, Swapna and Sushupti. Then how did this sound vibration, the knowledge got propagated? Brahma, from this sound vibration, created all the different types of sounds. He created four Vedas, 7 types of invocations called Vyariti invocations, just to propagate this process of sacrifice. Then Brahma, he taught these Vedas to his sons, who are very, very powerful sages. And they became the acharyas of all these Vedas. And through the system of parampara, these Vedas, it was received in the 4 ages. At the end of every Dwapar Yuga, these Vedas, they are edited by the eminent sages. And then Sudha Goswami says that, in this Dwapar Yuga, at the end of this Dwapar Yuga, in this Manvantar, Supreme Personality of Godhead himself incarnated as Vyasadeva, and he is called as Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas. He divided the Vedas into 4 and he separated the mantras. So somebody may say all these Vedas, they were already existing. Brahma with his 4 heads, he spoke 4 Vedas. So what is the question of division of the Vedas? So what did Vyasadeva do? So an analogy is given. So just like there is a pile of jewels, and what Vyasdev did, the four Vedas, when they came out of the mouth of Brahma, they were all put together. Vyasdev, he segregated those mantras into four divisions based on the qualities. He made the four Vedas into four separate piles. That is the contribution of Vyasdev. Then Vyasdev called four of his disciples and he handed one of each Samhitas, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharvaved. He gave Rigved to Paila Rishi, Samved to Vaishampayan, Yajurved to Vaishampayan, Samved to Jaimini and Atharva to Sumantu. So Paila, he divided this Rigved into two parts. And he spoke those two parts to his disciples Indrapramiti and Bashkal. Bashkal, he further divided his collection into four parts and he spoke that to his disciples Bodhaya, Yagyavalkya, Parasharan, Agnimitra. Indrapramiti, he taught his part to his son Mandukya. Mandukya taught to his disciple called Devamitra. Devamitra spoke to his disciple Shaubari and others. Mandukya, he had another son called Shakalya. So Shakalya, he divided his portion into five and he spoke it to five of his disciples. Then one of the disciple of Shakalya, he was named, his name was Jatukarnya. So the part of Samhita which he received, he added a fourth part, which was a glossary, Vedic glossary. And he taught these four sections to his four disciples, Balaka, the second pile, Jabal and Viraj. Then the son of Bashkala, named Bashkali, he assembled a Samhita called Valakhilya and he collected all these branches, and this collection was received by three of the disciples, Valayani, Bhajya and Kashar. Then this Rigved was maintained in disciplic succession. Anybody who hears about this, now it is interesting. Somebody may be wondering, Arey, so much of the words, isne isko diya, what is happening? What will I get? So Sud Goswami says, simply by hearing of the distribution of the Vedic hymns, one will be freed from all the sins. That is the power of just hearing the distribution, not to speak of following. Then he describes about the Yajurveda. So he says, one of the disciples of Vaishampayan was given the charge of Yajurveda. One of the disciples of Vaishampayan, his name was Yagyavalkya. So Vaishampayan, by mistake, he had killed he was suffering the sin of killing a Brahmana. So his disciples, they were executing strict vows to make their guru free from this sin. Yagyavalkya, he came to Vaishampayan and he said, what is the use of all the petty austerities of all these other disciples of yours? Let them live happily. I will do austerities myself. I will make you free from the sins. When Vaishampayan, he heard this, he became so very angry because this Yagyavalkya, he was criticizing and insulting Brahmanas. He became very angry. He said, go away from here. And I don't want you as my disciple. A disciple who insults Brahmana cannot stay here. So as he was going, he said, but you give back whatever knowledge I have taught you. So Yagyavalkya, he also became angry. He said, okay, so be it. And as he was going away, he vomited out all the Yajurveda hymns which he had heard from this Vaishampayan. The other disciples, when they saw this Yajurveda hymns, vomited out, they became greedy for those hymns. And being in a Brahmana body, they could not take the vomit. So they assumed the forms of a birds, partridges, tittiri, and they accepted all these Yajurveda hymns. And therefore, this part of Yajurveda is called as Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya means the Upanishad which is uh, accepted by the Tittiris. And this Yajnavalkya, he was so very angry, he left that place, and he wanted to find new Yajurveda mantras, which even his spiritual master did not know. And that's why he started worshipping sun god, started offering beautiful prayers to sun god. And he said, oh sun god, oh Surya Dev, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are the supreme personality of Godhead, appearing as the sun. You are the controller of all the four kinds of living entities. You are maintainer of all the living entities. With your energy, you are directing time, you are drying water, you are giving rains. Just like the sky is present inside and the outside, you are present everywhere. Just like the sky is never covered, you are never covered. In this way, he was glorifying Surya. You are the chief of Devatas. By your power, you are maintaining the lives. Everybody is completely dependent on you. You are most magnanimous, and therefore, O Surya Dev, I approach you because I want mantras which nobody had ever heard, Yajurveda mantras. Surya Dev, he became happy hearing those prayers, became pleased. He came in the form of a horse and he gave mantras, Yajurveda mantras, new Yajur mantras. These mantras, Yajnavalkya compiled and given a name called Vajasenai Samhita. Vajasenai means the Samhita which has come from the horse mane. So then this Yajnavalkya, he compiled 15 branches of this Vajasenai Samhita and he gave to his disciples Karnava, Madhyandina and other rishis. Then what about Samved? Jaimini Rishi, who was given this Samved, he taught this Samved to his son Sumantu and to his grandson Sutwan. Then another disciple of Jaimini called Sukarma, he divided this Samveda into 1,000 Samhitas. And then he gave this 1,000 Samhitas to his three disciples, Hiranyanab, Pushyanji and Avantya. Then the disciples of Pushyanji and Avantya, this 500 disciples, they became the singers of the Samveda, the northern part of the Samveda, and some people say eastern also. So there were 5 other disciples of Pushyanji. They received 100 Samhitas. Another disciple of Hiranyanab Krita, he spoke 24 Samhitas to his own disciples, and the remaining collections, they were passed on to the sage Avantya. So that is the end of this 6th chapter. So Atharva Veda is remaining, the Puranas are remaining, that will be described in the 7th chapter. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, there was one question. Please repeat the example of lamp. Okay, so the example was just like the lamp, there is a wick, fuel, vessel, and the lamp itself. So living entities, they are compared with a lamp. The oil is the mind, and the wick, it is considered the intelligence, and this body is considered as the lamp, and this body is considered as the wick. Body is considered as the wick. The lamp is considered as the samsar. So this was the analogy given to make Parikshit understand that ultimately the spirit soul is apart from all these bodily designations. The light is completely different from the wick, the oil, and the lamp itself. Similarly, soul is completely different from this body. So that was the example. Okay. So any other question anybody has? Okay, so thank you very much. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.